Simon, Dr. Rogers, dropping in to give you some quick tips on how to identify narcissistic behaviors, specifically manipulative behaviors. There are a few things that you want to look for whenever you're dealing with a person that could possibly have narcissistic characteristics or if they are displaying manipulative behaviors. The first thing to remember is whenever they are trying to get you to see their side or buy into their opinion, and the thing is with them, they always want you to buy into their opinion. They never want you to have your very own opinion about a specific situation, especially when it is pertaining to them. Now, these people may come across as being extremely nice. They can come across as pushy, or they can come across as being emotionally abusive. So these are some of the things that you can look at to help you identify some of those narcissistic traits or some of those manipulative behaviors. One of the first things that you tend to see in a person that is being manipulative is he or she completely just dodges accepting responsibility for his or her actions. They will find a way to blame someone else for their behaviors and find a way to become a victim in the situation. If they can become the damsel in distress, that is exactly what is going to happen. You will not be able to get them to accept responsibility for their actions. Should they decide to accept responsibility for their actions, this is usually because they don't have any other choice, or they have found some way for that to benefit them. Anything that benefits them, they'll do it. So should they find a way to make accepting responsibility be a plus for them, that's the only way that you'll get them to accept responsibility for their actions. Now, let me say that you may have some appear to accept responsibility if it will get them out of a situation. But do believe that that is another type of manipulation, telling you what you want to hear so that you will back down. So a lot of times, like in the case that we've been looking at with Tasha K, instead of accepting responsibility and saying that I am wrong on this particular situation, they go and they put themselves out there as if they're not, whatever's going on doesn't bother them and they don't care either way. They're not going to accept responsibility for it. You can see that they may have done something. You may have seen it with your own eyes, but you're not going to force them to accept responsibility for it unless they choose to accept responsibility for it. And most of the time that happens only if they see that there is some type of benefit in them accepting responsibility for whatever that behavior is. Number 2, manipulation. People who manipulate narcissists tend to prey on the weak. So they will study you. They will get close to you so that they can find out what your weaknesses are. Not so much about your strengths. That's not what they're interested in. They detect weakness and they prey on your weakness. So that same weakness that you have used or may have displayed or may confide in them in, they will use that same weakness against you. They find opportunities where they can take advantage, and they will take full advantage of any weakness that they may see in you. Another thing is instilling self-doubt in other people, getting you to doubt yourself. Now, this is something that I mentioned in another video, and someone asked, how can someone else make me doubt myself? If you have ever dealt with a narcissistic person, then that question would definitely be answered for you. Any decisions that you have made, any decisions that you are trying to make, that manipulative or that narcissistic person will find a way to get into that decision-making process and get you to make a decision that is going to benefit them or sway the way that they want that decision to go. If you have any doubts about yourself, let's say that you were questioning your weight, you were questioning how you look, you were questioning whether you should accept a job, you're questioning whether you should do certain things, and that manipulator is aware of those things. If they can have any input in those situations, a decision that you may have already made, they will have you doubting that decision. If you think that you've done good with your weight loss journey or your health, a master manipulator or a narcissistic person will have you doubting those decisions, especially if there's something, let's say they want you to buy into some type of supplement that they're using. So they will have you doubting the progress that you know you've made. They'll have you actually doubting that progress and question yourself just to get you to buy into something that they're trying to give you. They will have you questioning basically anything that you do. They'll have you questioning. They have the ability to have you questioning those things. And once they get you to the place of questioning those things, then it's a power trip for them, because they feel like they now have power over you because they were able to get you to change your mind, or at least question what you were doing. Basically making you feel bad about any decisions that you make, especially if it's a decision that may get you to maybe think twice about believing something that they say or going along with something that they do. They'll try to guilt trip you. They are masters at the guilt trip. So why are you doing this? I mean, you're really making me feel this way. Or you're doing this to me. Or you're doing all these things to them because you decided to make a decision. So that's another thing to look out for. Something else to look out for is just when things don't go their way, or if they're trying to convince a group of people or an individual, whatever the case may be, they'll put out false information. It doesn't matter if there's any validity to that information. It doesn't matter if people will eventually find out that the information is not true. But at that particular moment, that's the way that they choose to deal with a situation, because they are trying to manipulate the situation. The reason for putting out that false information is so that they can control the behavior and the thinking of whoever their audience is that is taking that information in. So if they can make you believe that someone is a bad person, they're going to go ahead and put that information out and have people believing that you are a bad person. Even if the people or person already knows who you are, it's just enough for them to put that information out to have them second guessing what they already believed, again, instilling doubt. Another trait or characteristic that you see with narcissistic or manipulative people is that they have no boundaries. There's no limit on what they will do to get their way. There's no limit on what they'll say. There's no limit on what they'll do. There's no limit on how they'll act. There's no limit. They have absolutely no boundaries when it comes to getting what they want at all costs. There are no boundaries. Finally, the last thing in this particular video that you will see when dealing with the narcissist or dealing with an overly manipulative person is just their need to rationalize what they're doing. They will rationalize whatever behaviors they're taking in, no matter how bad, no matter how misguided, no matter how terrible their behaviors come across, what they did, what they said, no matter how bad those things come across, they will find a way to rationalize those behaviors. There's no talking them into rationalizing or getting them to see the light when it comes to those behaviors. They are going to convince themselves, and sometimes often convince you, that what they did was justified. All right, guys, this was 7 ways to identify manipulative and narcissistic behaviors. I hope you found this information useful. If this is something that you got something out of, please share the video, leave your comments below, and please hit that like button. If you would like more information and information similar to this topic, please stay tuned for the next video.